How's it going, everybody, and welcome to the channel. Today we are taking a look at the dual bay 1-6S AC DC balance charger discharger. It is the Htrc C240 Duo. Now this thing has 10 amps per channel of charge current, and it also has a DC maximum power of 240 watts and AC maximum power of 150 watts. Now the types of batteries supported are LiPo batteries, high voltage LiPo batteries, lithium ion batteries, lithium iron batteries, nickel metal hydride, nickel cadmium, and lead acid batteries. So taking a look at the top of the charger here, we have the dual LCD displays for channels 1 and channel 2. Now each channel is independent from the other, so we are able to charge two different types of batteries at the same time. Now on the right side of each of the LCD display per channel, we have the stop key, we have the status left or status right key or negative and positive keys, and the enter key. Now on the left we have some ventilation holes, and this is a ventilation hole as well, and the mini USB port for firmware upgrades. Now on the right side of the charger we have the actual cooling fan, we have the DC power input port via an XT60 connector, 11 to 18 volts, and another mini USB port for firmware upgrades or PC link. Now in the back we have the AC input port, 100 to 240 volts, and the power on and off switch. Now in the front we have the output ports, the balance port, and the external temperature sensor port for channels 1 and channels 2. All right, so here is the box that it came in, and as you can see, we got the C240 Duo, and they do offer different models as well. We got the C150, which is just a single channel version of this charger, and we also got the T150 and the T240 Duo, which are the touch screen version of this balance charger. Now here is everything that came out of the box: the charger, of course, and the AC cable here. Very thick and tough AC cable, so very nice. And we got some cables here, attachment cables for channel 1 and channel 2. So we got two sets of cables here with the Dean's connector, and we got the XT60, the Tamiya, of course we got the alligator style clip connector as well, and this one here is for the power output port. So we got two sets of those for channel 1 and channel 2, and we also have a alligator clip style to XT60 for powering up your charger DC. So we got the XT60 power input, so we can charge, or we can power this charger up via like a car battery, for example, out in the field. So this is a very nice cable there. Now remember, this is a AC DC unit, so you can use it at home as well as out on the field as well. You can also power it up using a LiPo battery if you want to as well. So here is the instruction manual, very in-depth instruction manual, step-by-step on how to go about navigating through the user interface. So very, very nice. And here's two balance boards with the extension cable here, and we are able to balance charge from 2S all the way up to 6S. So first let's address the price. Now the unit comes in at a price of $75.99, prime delivery from Amazon. Now I have been using two of these IMAX B6 chargers for the longest time, and the Htrc C240 dual charger is basically two IMAX B6 in a single unit. So the IMAX B6 comes in at about $25 depending which clone you buy, and you also have to buy the AC power adapter for about $10 on this one. So roughly about $35 times 2, which is $70. So the Htrc's C240 Duo's price of $75.99 isn't so bad since it already has the power supply built in, and it is more powerful than the IMAX B6 and has more features. All right, so let's go ahead and power up the charger, AC adapter, and powering up the unit. Now it'll bring us to the lithium battery charging interface. Now the very first thing you want to do with any charger for the very first time is to go to the settings and set everything up to how you like to charge your batteries. So from here you can scroll to the left or you can scroll to the right. We're going to go scrolling to the right. So we are at the lithium battery interface, and one more to the right, and we are in the nickel metal hydride nickel cadmium battery charging interface. One more and we are into the lead acid battery charging interface, and here we are in the user setting interface. So go ahead and hit enter, and here's the key beep buzzer interface. Here you can turn on and off the key sound and set the volume of the buzzer. So hit enter, we can turn it on or off, and hit enter again. We can change the volume from high, off, low, mid, or high. I like mine's high, so I'm going to leave it on there. And scrolling to the right one more time, you are able to set the completion ring alarm duration. So it is set to 1 minute. Now I believe in going and finishing off and taking the batteries off of your charger as soon as the alarm starts to ring. So I do have mine on 1 minute, but you are able to change from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 and always. Now that doesn't make sense. You do not want to rely on always or off for that matter, because you want to go to the charger as soon as your batteries are finished charging. You don't want to keep it just hanging in there, and you always want to stay very close to the charger itself so you can hear the buzzer going off once it is completed. That's the way I look at it. Now next interface is the cycle waste time, and this is between charge and discharge for the nickel metal hydride and nickel cadmium battery. So it is set to 5 minutes. You can change that to down to 1 minute all the way up to 60 minutes. So we'll just leave it at 5 minutes by default. Now next is the cutoff input voltage of the power supplying the charger. The range is 10 to 18 volts. Obviously it is for a DC power source such as a LiPo or your car battery, so you don't deplete your power source battery. Now next is the cutoff for external temperature, but an external temperature sensor is not provided. So you can go ahead and turn it on and off, and you can also set the temperature to your liking here. Next is the capacity cutoff, and by default it is set to 8,000 milliamp. The range is from 100 milliamp minimum and 60,000 milliamp maximum, and it also has an on and off option as well, so you can turn it on and off, and you can go ahead and change the milliamp to your liking as well. Now next is the safety timer. The default is set to 240 minutes. Now usually I'm charging at 1C and usually takes about 60 minutes. So I want the timer to stay on. So off is the other setting there, and I'm going to lower it down to about 80 minutes. All right, so that will be good enough. So if it charges beyond 80 minutes, it will give me a buzz to let me know it has gone over the time limit that I have set here, which is 80 minutes. Next, you can set the charge power for each of the channels. The default is 75 watt and 75 watt, channel 1 and channel 2, because we are on the AC power source. but you are able to change that value. So in case you want channel 1 to charge up a heavy load and channel 2 you're charging up some lighter batteries, you can go ahead and position your wattage more to one of the channels. So all the way I got it set to 100 watts on the channel 1 and 50 watts for channel 2. I'm just going to leave it at default value at 75 for now. Now, next up is the lithium battery balance control. Now, default is standard, as you can see. The range is accurate, fast, or standard. All right, so we can change it to accurate, fast, or standard. So fast is balance speed fast, but less accurate. So here's fast. So balance speed will be really fast, but it will be less accurate. Now in standard is in between fast and accurate, but in accurate, the balance speed is very low, but it is accurate. So by default, it is set to standard. Now, next is the termination voltage control for all of the batteries the charger supports. And finally, you can reset everything to factory default values here. Okay, so in addition to charging and discharging batteries, we also have some extra functions. So we are back at the user settings interface, and if we scroll to the right, we go into the extra function interface and hit enter. And one of the first things that we can do here is we can quickly check the status of a battery. So I have my balance cable to the balance board connected, and the output cable to the Dean's connector, and the Dean's connector to the XT60 connector, ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and plug in a battery here. I got a 4S battery here. So connecting the balance connector. And we're going to go ahead and hit enter. And it will ask you what kind of battery. So hit enter again. You can change from LiPo to high voltage to lithium ion to lithium iron. So we're just going to go ahead and hit it for LiPo, and then long press the enter key for 2 seconds. And here you can quickly check the status of the battery, including the voltage and the percentage of the charge. All right, so that's that. Let's get out. And the next interface, you are able to check the internal resistance of a battery as well. So in this interface, just hit the enter button. And it takes a little while, but there you go. There's the internal resistance of this battery. And next, you are able to balance a battery here as well. Now, this is not the balance charging interface. This is just bringing up all of the cells to an equal level per cell. So all of the cells will be equal to each other. So in case you have a battery that is got a lower or a weaker cell than the other cells, you will come to this interface and balance up your battery. Next up is the digital power interface. This is an awesome interface. I really like this interface. What it is we can set the output voltage and the current to power up an external device from here. So I like to use this function to power up a quadcopter with a press of a button. So doing the binding procedure, for example. So you want to hold down the bind button and plug in the XT60 on the quadcopter, which you need 3 hands or 4 hands to do all that at the same time, or you have to call your wife or your child to help you out. Well, this way you can have the XT60 connector connected to a quadcopter, hold down the bind button, and just hit this button to power up the quadcopter all at the same time. Okay, so here I got a transmitter here ready to go. So I got it already set to the bind. And here I have a quadcopter, and there is the receiver, and there's the bind button on the receiver. So what we are going to do is power up the quadcopter using the charger here. So the XT60 female connector what you need to do is get a cable that has XT60 male and male. So what I'm going to do is connect it here and connect this to the quadcopter. All right, so the quadcopter is ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter for digital power, and it is set to 24 volts at 5 amps. What I'm going to do is lower down the voltage to about a 3S or 4S level. Okay, 14.6 will do. I'll leave it at 5 amps, or maybe you could even lower down the amps to mimic a battery as well. So 1.5 amps. All right. All right. So all I got to do is long press the enter key to power up the quadcopter. So let's check it out. Right, just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit stop. All right, so what we are going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hold down the bind button with one hand and just hit the enter key for a couple seconds to power up the quadcopter and put it into a binding mode. All right, there you go. The green light is on. The receiver is now in a binding mode, and we are going to hit the bind key on the transmitter. Oops. This one will ask you telemetry on or off. I got the telemetry off. Hit it again. Okay, binding is underway. See, the red light is flashing, so binding process is complete. So I'm going to turn it off and exit out from the binding process on the transmitter. Now let's go ahead and power it back on. Holding on the enter button, 2 seconds. All right, there you go. Solid green light. Binding process successful. All right, so we are back at the extra function interface. We also have a memory selection where you can choose from 20 memories recorded on the charger, including the LS or the latest memory. So let's go ahead and scroll to the right and hit enter where it says load memory. So LS, that will be the latest memory, and you can scroll from 1 all the way up to 20, and you can scroll back and forth and hit enter to revise and long press enter to make it start working and to charge your battery. Now, there are also built-in error messages or alarms, such as input voltage is too high or low, it is in reverse polarity, battery is disconnected, battery is over voltage or under voltage, cell count error, and capacity cutoff, as well as timeout cutoff. All right, so let's go ahead and charge up a battery here. We got a 1300 milliamp 4S battery. So connecting the XT60 and plugging in the balance connector to the balance board, and we are good to go. All right, so we are in the lithium battery charging interface. So hit enter, and here we can either charge, we can fast charge, we can storage discharge, we can discharge, or we can balance charge the LiPo battery. I'm interested in just charging the battery straight, so go ahead and hit enter. Here we can change the type of battery from LiPo, high voltage, ion, or iron. I'm interested in LiPo, and here we can choose the current. It is already set to 1.3, which is perfect because it is a 1300 milliamp size battery. So hit enter again, and the voltage we are able to change. 14.8 is just about right. It is a 4S battery. So hit enter again and long press the enter key for about 2 seconds to commence charging. Okay, and it will confirm. So you go ahead and hit enter once again, and now it is charging. So on the upper left hand corner, we have the type of battery and the charge current at the moment, and we have the battery voltage. The mode over here, which is charging, it will display discharging, or it will display storage, and so on and so forth. Here is the time elapsed and the capacity charged thus far. All right, so we can scroll to the right with the plus or the right status key here to check the individual cells as well, and they are almost getting ready to be topped off. All right, so that is awesome. So we can hit the left key, and here we are able to scroll through and look only at the values of the charge settings. But to make the actual changes, we have to go into the actual settings, just like the IMAX B6 charger. So we can check the capacity cutoff, we can check the safety timer, external temperature cutoff, which we are not using, and the input voltage and the end voltage. All right, that is just about it. All right. All right, so now it is showing that I am fully charged. So that is the alarm that sounds when the battery is fully charged. Now, there is one thing that we cannot do here, unlike the IMAX B6 charger, and that is to change the charge current while the battery was charging. Now, some of the other chargers do allow that function. Now, to discharge the battery, let's exit out and go on over to discharge, hit enter, LiPo battery, hit enter, set the current, and hit enter, set the voltage. And if everything is correct, long press the enter key, and it will commence to discharge. It will confirm, you hit enter once again, and the same display will be shown as you are discharging the battery. Now, if you are to storage discharge the battery, it will be identically the same as the discharging of the battery. All right, so while discharging the battery, the fan just kicked in. So this is how loud the fan is. Okay, so the air is being sucked in from the left and it is being blown out from the right. It is not that warm at all, but the fan does kick in automatically and it turns off automatically to keep itself cool. All right, so you can use this charger to charge up two different types of batteries individually, or you can be discharging a battery while charging some other battery, or you can use a parallel board to charge up multiples of the two types of batteries at the same time, since it has 10 amps per channel and 2 channels at that. So one of them is done charging, so you can hear the beeping going on, and the fan is continuing to stay on to keep itself cool. So if you already are an IMAX Charge user, it is very familiar since the interface is almost identical to the IMAX B6 type chargers. And if you are a new user, the user interface is simple to use and to navigate. Now, I've been using this charger for about 3 weeks now, and it hasn't given me any problems at all and has worked flawlessly so far. So it has earned a spot on my charge table, and it is now my first go-to charger at home. Perfect timing too, since the power supply for one of my IMAX B6 charger has decided to give it up. Now, the only negative I would have to say about this charger is the noise of the fan, but it does keep itself cool. So better a noisy one than a heated one. Now, the B6 charger do get heated up, and constant use will even change the color of the LCD display at times, but the C240 Dual has no problem with constant use. So actually, the noisy fan has become a good thing for this charger. So that'll do it for now for the Htrc's C240 Dual, the 1 to 6S battery charger. discharger, and so much more. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching. Have a great day, and we'll see you again next time.